question from one of my followers, and I thought it was such a good question that I would make a video to answer it. Because the general principle is if one person's asking a question, someone else would also be interested in the question and the answer. I talked in a previous video about being accepting of problems, that's just the problem that I have, and also being engulfed in problems, so you feel overwhelmed and kind of smothered by the problem. And so Shuvik says, talk about mindfulness. Do you think that you can use mindfulness as a measure of anxiety? So for instance, if you can be mindful for longer, you're less anxious, and if you can be mindful for less time, you're more anxious. I'm not sure that you can use mindfulness like that. I think that mindfulness is a difficult thing to do. And it's certainly a difficult thing to do if you're sort of sitting and meditating, which is the classic version of mindfulness meditation. I think the modern version of mindfulness, which seems to me a lot of time listening to audios, is a different kind of thing. I'm not sure that's exactly mindful. I prefer to think about something called active mindfulness. Now, active mindfulness is basically very simple. It's being aware of what you're doing whilst you're doing it. If you think about the distinctions of being, let's say, engulfed in your emotional experience, if you're engulfed, you have no control. You have to be sort of in that experience. But when we are able to get ourselves at a position that I call, I'm not the problem, but I have a problem, we can get a little bit of distance, then we're not engulfed in the problem and we can work on the problem. And I think active mindfulness is a brilliant tool for doing that. So I don't think you can use your ability to be mindful as a measure of anxiety, but the better you get at being mindful, probably the less anxious you will be, and certainly the better you get at being actively mindful in the way I define it, the less anxious you will be, because you will have the feeling of more control over anxiety. Thank you for the question. Please leave more questions. I love to get questions and I love to make answers, and if it's a good question, we'll make a video answer and we'll post it on YouTube because other people will also be interested in the answer. Thanks for taking the time to watch and listen.